Welcome back. Dale Myers with Football Advanced. Today we're going to discuss football leadership. How exactly do we maximize impact on the lives of these young people? Now, football coaching is a leadership position. If you're the head coach and assistant, rec ball to professional, it is a leadership position as the first and foremost thing that we need to accept. And with that comes a lot of responsibility. How do we maximize the amount of impact that we're going to have? How do we optimize ourselves and our environment so that we can do just that? Yeah, we want to produce some wins on the field, but is that really our biggest challenge? That's what we're going to discuss today. We're going to also incorporate some quotes from some of the big names in the business, some of the people who we all aspire to be like. Now, having said that, there is certainly a difference in terms of what's our main objective as a football coach, as a football leader. If I'm a assistant coach or head coach of a rec team, my outcomes by which I'll be judged are different than at the high school level and certainly at the collegiate and professional level where we have millions and perhaps billions of dollars at stake. Having said that, in order to reach our objectives, there are some characteristics that we need to develop within ourselves, and there are some traits that we want to make sure that this organization that we're a part of becomes highly functional and optimized for that end result. Now, having said that, we're not going to discuss right now what we want our players to be like. We're going to sort of talk about that. That'll come in another video. Right now, I'm talking about what do I as a coach need to be focusing on. And again, it doesn't matter if you're an assistant or a head coach. All of these things are relevant. First and foremost is be a visionary leader. The first tenet of football leadership is to be a visionary. And part of a visionary is that you look towards the future. If I'm a position coach, what do I want if I'm defensive backs, what do I want my DBs to look like in their stance, in their back pedal, if I want them backpedaling? How do I want them to break on the ball? How do I want them to attack? What kind of angles? All of these different things. What does it look like? What do my meetings look like? What does my huddle look like? What do my practices look like? What kind of effort do I want from them? All of this is about being a visionary, seeing it in advance. That's the first thing. And again, the head coach, we know that those of you who are a head coach or aspire to be a head coach, there's lots of different things that you need to be able to set the vision for. Number one was visionary leadership. This is very important. Number two, because having a vision isn't enough. Being able to set and define a culture. You could argue that this one here is the most important. Lots of people know what they want to do, but it's different in terms of being able to know what kind of people do I want around me, what kind of jobs do I want those people to perform, and how do I want it to be performed. This is the job of the football leader, the head coach. If you're a position coach, it's something similar. What's the culture of your group? You're in charge of the linemen. How do you want them to take the field? Do you allow walking on the field? When it's time for water break, how do you want them to do it? All of these things we are in charge of because we set the tone as the assistant coach or the head coach. We set the tone. We will absolutely get what we demand. You will. Set the culture. That is an important part. Along with the culture, again, we're talking about the expectations of our position group or team. And one of the people that I was reading about, Bill Walsh, how early on, when he first took over the San Francisco 49ers way back in the day in the early 80s, he was like 2-14. But then over the next decade, he won 3 Super Bowls. He attributed to the culture that he put in place. One of relentless improvement, high expectations. You can do that yourself. You can absolutely do this. But you need to define it in advance. What does it look like? Take the time to write it out. We'll actually do another segment on defining culture because that, again, this is huge, and we'll actually have to break culture down over a few different videos because there's a lot to it. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is the secret sauce, all right? Number 3, related to football leadership, preparation. never ever be unprepared. Sure, there are going to be some days where their Jimmys are better than your Joes, right? But you can still know, you can prepare your players, you can prepare yourself to know their tendencies. Do not be outworked. This is about that expectation thing. You yourself as a coach become the best coach that you can be. Know your opponent's tendencies. Know your players' tendencies and their weaknesses. This is about putting them, not just putting the best on the field, but putting the players in the best position to win. So again, we have to know everything about our team and our opponents. This is the preparedness. Let's see. Never be outworked, never unprepared. Again, this is one quote, a Nick Saban quote. Get the details right. All of those things we talked about were the details. What are the right details to work on? Again, tendencies, so many different things. But focus here, do not be unprepared. You can control that. That has nothing to do with your team per se. You can control that. Are you prepared? Then you can prepare your group if you're a position coach. You can prepare your coaches if you're the head coach. All right, so we can do that. We can control that. Number 4, flexible. You must be flexible. While I just stated we have to be prepared, we all know we've gone into a game with a great game plan and they're doing something totally different. So you must be prepared with the ability to adapt, to change, to sense and respond. But part of preparedness is having a plan of what if. What if they don't do that? What's our next best go-to? All right. So let's see. Now on that preparedness thing. So I talked about a game plan or a flexible thing. What about dealing with players? Do we really treat all players the same? I mean, I know that we often say that, but do we really? Because the reality of it is some of the kids come from a good household. Some of them don't. And so I have to teach them different because while my program may have a policy of no cursing, if this man is around that all day long, that's his environment, he's going to slip. I've been in that environment. He's going to slip. Now we're going to hold him up, but we're going to deal with it a little bit of grace and give him the opportunity to get to our level. Understand he has to grow at a faster rate than some of the other kids. All right. Or maybe at a slower rate. So being flexible in our game plan, dealing with players and dealing with parents again. Wow. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That's a mouthful in of itself, dealing with parents. Related to flexibility is being patient. Being patient with yourself as a coach while you grow. Being patient with your game plan. Being patient with your other coaches if you're the head coach. Being patient with your players. Patience is an important component of this. Give yourself time to see the results. Remember what I stated earlier about Bill Walsh. Again, 2-14 to a few years later, Super Bowl championships. Bobby Bowden, he didn't win his first national championship until 28 years as a head coach. Be patient, but know that what you're working on is worth it. All right. Let's see. Number 7, be player focused. Be player focused. This means that I have enough relationships and that I invest in my relationships with my players. This one is huge. And we're going to touch on that in a little bit, but players will play for you because you're their coach. But if they like you and they respect you, that's when they'll run through that wall for you. That's when you'll start to get those Herculean efforts. Be more focused on what do the players need. Yeah, I got to give them what they need. I have to give them what I get them to where they can perform as I want them to perform. But what do they really need beyond football? Some of y'all hear me, some of you don't. Let's see, player focus, long-term outlook. Number 8, you must accept that things will change and be able to innovate. Now, this could mean being an innovator on the field. Again, Bear Bryant, when he was first at Alabama, they were getting ready to can him. They were doubting him, but then he switched to the wishbone, which was innovative for them back then. And 3 or 4 championships later, he's one of the greatest coaches ever. It's Bill Belichick and actually Nick Saban innovate in different ways. Yeah, they are both, very good at what they do, but that part of their innovation was in how they structure their processes. So you can innovate by scheme, you can innovate by processes. I think I was reading about Tom Landry, he was one of the first ones to hire strength and conditioning coaches and specialty coaches and quality control coaches, and now everybody has them, right? So there are multiple ways to innovate, but just accept that, learn from the past, but look for opportunities toward the future. All right, number 9. Don't just coach, but teach. Coaching is teaching. As a football leader, as a football coach, you're a leader, and that means you have to teach people. Don't just tell them what to do. You show them, give them an opportunity to do it again and again and again. Make sure as we're judging these young people that we're giving them the opportunity to improve and giving them the feedback. Feedback is an important component of the learning process. Give them constructive feedback. Constructive is the key word here. All right, number 10, focus on fundamentals. Green Bay Packers, why am I drawing a blank here? Lombardi, when he first came to the Packers, and even after the fact, they're saying, what are you going to do to win? He said, I'm going to focus on fundamentals, blocking and tackling. If you focus every day on blocking and tackling, block destruction, schemes are important, but if you do that right, the fundamentals will get you most of the way there. They'll keep you in the ball game. I've seen that as a coach. I've coached at some pretty bad schools, and we had some improvement by just focusing on the fundamentals. All right. Let's see. Number 11, and we're getting there. Consistency trumps flash. Bill Belichick had a thing he said he focuses on his dependables. It's not necessarily the guy that can give you the 50-yard burst here and there, and we're all attracted. We want that game breaker. What Bill Belichick likes are the guys that are going to consistently do what he wants them to do. I ascribe to that theory, and clearly can you argue with those results? Now, of course, we would love to have that dude, that stud, but more importantly, it's the group of guys that are going to be in position, that are going to show up for the team meetings and show up on time and be good in the locker room. Those are the guys you really want to go to war with, and maybe that stud that, is kind of pouting because it's not all about him, maybe he'll get into alignment. All right, but that's a video for another day. So that was number 11. Number 12, own it. Own your decisions. Be okay with, remember early on we talked about the culture and the values. Now again, you as an assistant coach, you have to have your own culture, your own value system. Because if you believe something, you might one day work for a coach that is in conflict with that. Again, Nick Saban, one time he was fired as a head coach he was a DB coach at Ohio State, and he believed that the passing game was getting ready to become more prevalent, and so he wanted more agile safeties in the game, and the head coach at the time was like, no, I want the thumpers that come downhill and clean clocks. Nick Saban was fired because of that, but as you see now, most of his safeties are performing and going from college to the NFL, and certainly the passing game has changed, right? So you do want a different kind of safety today. He owned that decision. Belichick was talking about when he was a younger coach that there was a star professional athlete showing up in his special teams room, just joking off, laughing, being disruptive, and he pretty much said, hey, you, shut the F up or get out of here. And the guy got in the line. My point is he had to own the fact that this is my meeting room. This is my position group. Conform, do what I expect, or I'll find somebody else to play. So you own that decision. And again, sometimes, that you might not always be incongruent with what other people want, but that's okay. Have your own core values, stick to it. All right. Number 13, relationships over rights. And now this was kind of like what we were talking about before about be player focused, but understand that yes, you're the head coach, you're the position coach. But if you don't invest in those relationships, your ability to lead is really down here. You can't even see my hand, it's below here, right? But if you build a relationship, you can go here over time. Now, John Maxwell actually has a book and a talk about the 5 levels of leadership, and I suggest you go look at it. But The first lowest level is they follow you because they have to. The next level is because they start to like you and they'll do more for you. And then of course there's a third, the fourth, and the fifth level. But the point is, the more you invest in these relationships, getting to know these people, so they know that you really care about their long-term prospects, not just what you could do for them on Friday night, Saturday, or Sunday, you'll get a lot more buy-in then. All right, let's see. Oh, related to that, this is about having a servant heart. Serving, yes, serve your players. When I was a head coach, a good number of my players were in the gang at the high school. I went to players' houses, talking to them, trying to pull them out of those streets. You got to serve. I knew what was best for them was to be with me and my coaches. It wasn't about, yeah, I want you to play Friday, which, yeah, I did, but the biggest thing was, no, son, you got a bright future. So again, have a heart of servanthood, I guess is the point. All right, we're almost there, guys. That was number 13, relationships over rights. Number 14, people development. How do you improve your players? Have a plan for it. Now, we all know that we have a plan for improving our players, but how do you improve the younger coach? Because if you expect to ascend to higher heights, you want to have someone else in place. So what's your plan for improving your people? Those of you that want to become a head coach, what is going to be your plan for hiring and, again, improving the people you bring on board? Because you're probably not going to inherit an all-star staff. What's going to be your plan for improving people? Be that guy or girl that loves to help people. If you help enough people get what they want, you will certainly get what you want. All right. Self-assessment. This is the last one. Self-assessment. Part of this is just you reflecting on yourself, self-assessment and personal development as a leader in football. Change your goals. Did you reach your goals? What do I need to do differently? Did the team meet their goals? Did my position groups meet their goals? Did I actually help my players set goals for themselves? Ooh, we need to talk about that, don't we? Let's see. Did I have an open door policy where my players could come talk to me and give me feedback? Could my other coaches come talk to me? If I'm the head coach, did I really have that open door policy where others could give input into the game plan or to the direction of the team? Be open to that. All right. The self-assessment is critical. This is the growth component. Let's not let ourselves be the limiting factor. So this has been football leadership. I'm going to quickly recap my 15. Visionary leader. Culture, set the expectations. Number 3, preparation, never be unprepared. Number 4, flexible, be prepared, but be flexible, adapt. Number 5, patient, be patient with yourselves and your players. Number, I skipped one. Player focus, be player focused. Number 8, innovate, change the landscape around you. Number 9, don't just coach, teach. Number 10, focus on fundamentals. Number 11, be consistent. Consistency trumps flash. Number 12, own your decisions. Number 13, focus on relationships over rights. They don't have to play for you. Number 14, people development. And number 15, self-assessment and personal development. Now, that's a pretty good list. It's tried and true. It works in football. It works across all sports. It's a good. It works across all aspects of your life, truth be told. So, which of these is your favorite? Did I leave something off that you think I should have put on my list? Leave a comment below. Please like the video, thumbs up, share it, subscribe if you have not. We're nearing the start of football season. I'm getting ready to do a whole bunch. Sometimes technical stuff or scheme stuff, because I love the scheme, but often it's going to be about building us as men so that we can build these young people. My name is Dale Myers with Football Advanced. Take care.